I just realized you guys actually aren't seeing any of this. So you guys missed the beginning of the live stream because I didn't actually hit go live. It's new software. So I wonder if, I'm just going to pause the podcast here for just a sec. Just give me a minute here, you guys. I wonder if you can go back and watch. I think I have to start the show again. Where are you guys at in terms of where you are in the show? Can somebody let me know in the chat? Because you guys were chatting away, so I thought you guys were okay. But I don't think that you were actually seeing the show. You weren't on the wrong link, Kelly. You know what? This new software, it's so frustrating from YouTube. I have to actually hit go live. Like there's an extra step and I'm not used to it yet. So I'm really sorry about that. So sorry that the show is now starting late. We'll start again. We will start again. And you guys can't scroll back in time, right? Like the stream is showing that it's only been live for like a couple of minutes. Okay, perfect. All right. Welcome everybody to episode 144. My name is Rachel. This is woolen spinning. I can be found pretty much everywhere as well for pearls. And I'm sorry we're a little bit late starting this morning. It's just, it's been a really rocky one. And I want to say a very, very special thank you to the virtual spin girls who were here this morning, and we just spent a really lovely hour together. After I got off after we finished the virtual spin group, I got a really upsetting phone call from my brother. So there's been an unexpected death in our family, and I was going to cancel the stream this morning, and I was going to just not do it and reschedule for tomorrow. But my mom has the kids, and you can tell that I'm upset. And I being here and being with you guys is very life-giving for me. And I'd already had a really upsetting morning because I had to go into work this morning for an emergency N95 fit test because we're using, anyways, it's a whole thing in response to the pandemic. So it's been a really tough morning. I really appreciate you guys being here. I just am not feeling the pep and the pump and the vigor that I normally am feeling. And going into the unit this morning, I work at the biggest trauma center in the province, and it's the second largest ICU in British Columbia. So my girlfriend said to me, "You're truly ground zero." So walking into that this morning and seeing it firsthand was really hard. And then getting the phone call from my brother. So we're still going to have the show. I'm just not going to be my normal happy-go-lucky self because I think it's really important for some normalcy to continue. For those of you who are sort of maybe not doing everything that you should be doing in terms of social distancing and social isolation and all of that kind of stuff, please just stay at home and make things and spend time with your children and your partners. I know it can be isolating. I know it can be lonely. I know it can be hard. We have technology. Get on your phone and call somebody if you're feeling isolated. We just have to do everything we can. You guys, this is the first time in human history that we have had something to unite all of our human species against one thing, and we can do amazing things if we unite together. So thank you for your patience today, and thank you for hearing me out. In today's show, I've got some community participation stuff that I want to talk about, and I've got my Made with Love along sweater that I was going to show you, even though it's commercial yarn. And then we'll get into some projects and some stuff that I wanted to share with you. As you can see, my shift is done, and I wanted to share that with you because it's a bright light at the end of the tunnel. And I appreciate your guys' support. I can see you guys talking in the chat, and I just really appreciate it. So thank you. Part of the problem is that I'm not really sleeping right now, which has been really hard. So that is just par for the course right now. So thank you. Okay, so back in February, we had the community participation giveaway. And the question that Amy had posed to the community was, what item do you love that you wear the most and why? And so we had lots of great, we had so many people submit photos instead of just links to their project page that we've been working through them to share them. So this is from Not Saz, and she said her most loved item, I don't have many to choose from because I often gift my hand knits to friends and family. But I finished my Nellissimo shawl around a month ago, and I think I can count on one hand the number of days that I haven't worn it since then. So it's wonderful. It's a beautiful knit. Well, really, really beautiful and well done. And that was from Not Saz, and I've linked her in the show notes, which can be found at wellforpearls.com or patreon.com/wellforpearls. So I'm going to talk about this yarn in a minute, but I wanted to share with you the Made with Love along first. And I just really appreciate all of your love, you guys. I so appreciate all of you, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to be here. I also really appreciate that you guys are on the live stream with me and you are social distancing at home on the live stream. So our Made with Love along is an opportunity for us to honor our lovely Katrina in our group. She's a dear friend of mine and also going through lots of stuff right now. So in the Ravelry group, please look for the Made with Love along, but it's a community-wide call to everybody in the community to participate, to honor some of the people in our community. And there's lots of chatter in the chat thread. And then in the FO thread, we're trying to just keep it to Katrina's products. So yarn, fiber, whatever you decide to do. Rebecca wrote a beautiful blog post about this, so it's linked in the show notes. And I decided to cast mine on because at the rate that I'm going, I'm not going to get this finished. Although now that I've started it and it's going so fast, maybe I will get it done by July. I've been working on it in the evenings. It's been very meditative and really positive. So this is Katrina's Fabulicious, Be Fabulicious base. It's her brand new fingering BFL. It's just beautiful. And this is a one-of-a-kind colorway because, and it was in one of her bins in her basement, and I have 2 skeins of it, and it's just beautiful. And I'm making the Anchors cardigan, which is by Petite Knits, all one word. I think she's from Holland. I think she's Dutch. Beautiful. I love her patterns. And it's a 1x1 broken rib. So you increase for the yoke. You start at the top down and you're working the button band at the same time. And I've already picked my buttons because I really wanted to shop from Stash for this. And so I'm using some pearls that actually I have been stashing for a while and kind of saving for that project. Well, this is that project. So this is going to have pearls because I need a sweater with pearls. So Kelly, who's in the chat right now, released a brand new shawl that was going to be on display at Fibers West in Katrina's booth, and it's just gorgeous. So please have a look at that and consider that for your project. Yeah, and I love, love, love this yarn. Actually, it's funny because Katrina brought it in and I saw it and I was playing with it because she had given me a little leftover ball of it, and I was playing with it for a toque for Mike, which actually is not done yet. That's why I haven't talked about it on the podcast. And it kind of made me wonder about knitting a sweater out of it because I loved playing with it. But now I'm also kind of wondering about maybe trying to spin this yarn myself and kind of deconstruct it a little bit because I'm just enjoying it so much. So yeah, thanks you guys. That's interesting, Sarah, that your friend is feeling a bit traumatized. Everybody at work this morning is in really good spirits, but you can see that everybody's putting it on. It's forced, and everybody's really worried. So, because it's just starting up. And it's unnerving to walk into your place of work that's always been a relatively safe place. you know, obviously we deal with a lot of stuff. We were the SARS unit for Vancouver. Like there's obviously been stuff in the past, but to walk in and to see everybody so heavily gowned and masked, and these are your friends and your colleagues and the people that you work with and that you do life with, it's very jarring. So I finished this over the other day, so we'll talk about it in just a minute. I wanted to share one other project with you. So this is our Zero to Hero Make Along project. So this is where you go from fiber to yarn to some sort of a finished item. So it can be knitted or woven, whatever you want to do. And this is from Liz, Extreme Yarn by Zan, post number 128. This will go on my loom at some point. It's 1,330 yards so far, with probably another 1,300-ish to be plied. I just love these colors. They're just beautiful. She's spinning it specifically to weave with, but she's not sure what it will end up being in the end. It's gorgeous. And from the photos, I think it's all 2-ply. I don't know what the fiber is. She didn't write that in, but it's just gorgeous. Yeah, I'm not surprised, Sarah. I've been kind of on the edge of it, but I haven't actually had to go into it yet. So, yeah. Yeah, will do, Rebecca. Oh, Suzanne, that's you. So what fiber content is it? I didn't know that was your username. Huh. This is the problem with multiple usernames, you know, because I was finding that for me as well. You've got multiple usernames in multiple places, and then all of a sudden you kind of realize that, like, oh shoot, people don't know that it's the same person. So I switched everything, but I know it's hard. So yeah. Okay, I wanted to talk really quickly about upcoming yarn substitution content. So it's going to start in May. Originally I was going to start it in April, but April is going to be this is our How I Spin content. So this is specifically how I spin. But I was going to start it in April, but I'm going to move it back to May, and it's going to run over 4 months. And so for those who are part of the How I Spin content already, or are part of the Attentive Spinner tier, you guys already received this content, but we've been talking about the yarn substitution content for a bit. And back in January, I had released sort of like a trailer for it. So I've put a link down below because that's coming up in May, and there will be another video coming up that's like an intro that will be released to everybody. It'll be public for you guys to sort of see the intro video before we get into the sort of subscription based, and it'll run over 4 months. So that's for the How I Spin content, just so you guys know. It's coming up in May. It's on yarn substitution. The first month will be on yarn statistics and what we do with that information and how we apply that to our knitting. And then June will be, I'm not sure which order they're going to go in yet, but one of the 2 months, June, July, we're going to talk about spinning to substitute yarn, and then we're going to talk about substituting yarn in a pattern that you've already spun the yarn for. So 2 slightly different concepts, and that'll be May, and that'll be June and July. And then August we'll have sort of a bit of a wrap-up vlog and a downloadable PDF for everybody with sort of some final notes. The Attentive Spinners for each month will receive the How I Spin vlog video, and then they'll also get a transcript of the information with photos embedded in the PDF. So kind of like the old How I Spin PDF, but updated to be the transcript. So the links for that are in the show notes. All right, Breed and Color Study. So this is from Mariko, post number 143, Cozy Marie. So Breed and Color Studies has been going on. I just finished up mine, and the last little bit of content for that will be it's either already out or it's coming out for what I did with my yarns. And they used to hang behind me, but because I've moved upstairs, they're not behind me anymore. So this was Mariko's spin. It's just absolutely beautiful. She just finished her breed and color study. She got 2 sets, 4-ounce braids, thinking that she'd spin for a garment or something substantial. For a few months, she couldn't make up her mind on how she was going to spin the entire braid, so she decided to treat it like color mixing study in the end. She broke up the braids into 14 different color combos, and maybe she should have come up with more combos, but she kept one braid as whole. After some sampling of combination drafting and well blended ones using hand cards, she decided to put through each color combination on the drum carder just once, keeping the fibers aligned as much as possible. This distributed the colors evenly but not blended into one color, and she also kept a small strip of fiber to sample. So those are the ones that are wrapped around the cards, so that she would remember what the original color looked like. The braid was left whole. She stripped down vertically into pencil roving and spun randomly to 2 bobbins. So in the end, she has 14 20-gram-ish minis and a full 100 grams hank. Some of the colors she predicted how they would look, like the blue and the white or the pink and the yellow. The most surprising was the one that was just yellow. Even a tiny bit of teal, because of the yellow and the teal dyed next to each other, tints the color a lot. And you can see that, like, it turns it into kind of more of like a grello. And then the organic Polworth is something that she spun before. She absolutely loves the poofiness, and even when spun from comb top. The minis make nice fade sets, red and pink, blues, and the tinted ones, and she's going to stash them for now and use them in accessories as she finds patterns for them. Beautiful, Mariko. Love this. Love it. Love it so much. All right, so let's talk about my shift cowl, and let's talk about my yarn first, because then I'm going to turn off that camera, so because it doesn't last forever. So this is my finished Falkland spin. I talked about it a little bit yesterday on the wool stream, and I am just so in love with this yarn. I can't even. This was my Falkland from West Coast Color, which is Lynn. I'll hold this up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this focused on the big camera, so I'll hold it up to my other camera. But the top yarn is the unwashed, and then the bottom is washed. And I spun it on my Magikraft, and I plied it with higher twist than how I spun it. So the singles were spun to 18 wraps per inch, and then I've 2-plied it to make an 11 wraps per inch. I did ply it quite firmly so that it would take into account that poof factor of the Falkland, and as you can see, it worked really, really, really well. I am absolutely in love with this yarn. It's so pretty. And I'm really, it was a super fast spin. It was 230 grams. And my finished yardage pre-washing was 896 yards. I put meters on my Ravelry project page, but it was actually yards. 230 grams, and so my grist was 1770 yards per pound. So I got really, really, really good grist. And somebody had asked, it was Erin actually, who I think is in the chat today. I feel like I saw her. Yeah, she's there. No, it wasn't Erin. Sorry, it wasn't Erin. It was Melissa. Had asked about the fact that my grist was so high that she would have thought that the yarn would be more of like a fingering weight. So I wanted to answer the question on the podcast because it was such a great question, and I get it all the time. This is why working with your hand spun is so great, and why working with your own, like manipulating your own fibers, is so wonderful, because when I spin and when you're watching me do short backward, for example, I leave as much air in there as I possibly can. I don't smooth really super firmly, and I think a lot of people do. And so when people hear me say, yeah, this was spun with a lot of twist, I'm putting in a lot of, like, say, ply twist, or I'm putting in a lot of singles twist, but I'm not taking out that air because I don't smooth really super firmly. So my pinching fingers, if this is my fiber supply hand, and these are my pinching fingers forward. If I pinch and pull back and then smooth, I'm not squeezing all of the air out. And I think a lot of spinners, particularly when you're a newer spinner, I think that's exactly what people are doing. So what I do is I pinch and I pull back, but I'm only gently, kind of very gently running my fingers down the fiber. And that's how I get these really light, lofty, airy, poofy, springy, squishy yarns. And then I ply with much, much more twist and get a much higher twist angle, because the finished twist angle on this after washing is still about 45 degrees. And that gives me the firmness that I want in the yarn in terms of like this, like being able to withstand like a sweater. But it's still got tons and tons and tons of air. And so even though it spun to say 18 wraps per inch for my singles, which is, you know, gives you a DK weight yarn, you get this huge amount of yardage per pound because you're not taking all of that air out. Falkland's also sort of on the finer side in terms of wool, so you're going to get better yardage anyways. It's a little bit, it's not as dense as, say, like Gotland. So you do have to take that into account. So when I couldn't wait to swatch these, so I'll refocus the camera. And this yarn is quite dark, like it really is the color that it's showing up on the camera. So the bigger swatch, which I know to you they probably look the same, but the top swatch is actually bigger, and it's 5mm needles, and the fabric is a little bit too open. It's a little bit too, I haven't washed these yet. It's just it's not a great, well, it is great. It's just, it's a little bit too, like open and airy, because you can see me through it when I pull it apart. So like for a sweater, it would be nice for something like this where you don't mind if it's, you know, just an open front cardigan, big collar, you know, maybe something you're going to wear as sort of not really super hard wear. You don't care if it has a lot of structure because it's kind of hanging anyways. This is the A Des by Cyrilla Rose. And I was thinking about maybe doing flom with it, which is a Justina Lorkowska pattern, but the gauge is actually too open for the ribbing anyways. So then I re-swatched on 4.5mm needles, and this is much, much closer to what I would want, but I am thinking about swatching on 4mm needles and going down one more size, because I'm actually thinking, and I got gauge for flom with the 4.5s, but, or maybe this is the 4. I think this is the 4mm needles actually, now that I'm looking. But I actually, instead of the 1x1 rib, what I really liked about this swatch, which really surprised me, was the stockinette. That section of the swatch I actually preferred. So Katrina and Felicia and I are going to knit the cotton grass jumper together, and it's a pattern by The Petite Knitter, so don't get that confused with Petite Knits is in Europe. The Petite Knitter is here in Canada. She lives in the Arctic, and her patterns are currently 40% off. I think it ends this week. Anyways, Katrina and Felicia and I are going to knit this together, the cotton grass jumper. So this won't be like a formal knit along or anything, but if you guys would like to jump in with us, it doesn't have to be from Handspun. If you've wanted to knit her patterns for a while, please join us. And I am going to do the size small, which gives me a 30, I think it's like a 30, I think I read it was like a 35-inch bust. Yeah, 35-inch bust, so it'll give me a little bit of ease. And I only need 684 yards, so I've got more than enough yards for the main color. And then I was thinking about spinning up some of my white organic Polworth to the same grist, same sort of spinning technique, because I only need like 171. I don't need very much of the contrast color. I can't, I'm actually not totally sure what I need. Yardage. Yeah. 200 yards of the white. And then I was going to ask Katrina to dye it for me. Probably gray. So that's my plan. So that, I'm really excited about that. Yeah. That's right, Rebecca. She's in a Iqaluit. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing you never actually got to meet her, Rebecca. That's crazy. Yeah. Actually, I was thinking about knitting it as a cardigan and knitting it back and forth because I wear cardigans more than I wear pullovers. I don't really like pullovers, but I'm going to read through the pattern and see if I would have to steek it. And if I have to steek it, then I might just leave it as a pullover. I'm not really sure. I don't really want to steek my handspun, to be honest with you. But yeah, I wanted to share this with you. So this was West Coast Color. It's Lynn, my friend Lynn. She lives in Tappan as well, actually. And I just love this yarn. So I think I'm going to use it for that, unless I look through my stash and I find something else that I really like. Because the other thing that I was thinking about doing actually was the Shetland that I've been working on for absolutely forever. It's that gorgeous natural shade of brown, and I was thinking that would be a beautiful body. And then going through my stash to see if I could find like some gray, and doing that, a natural shade of light gray, like an oatmeal BFL or something for the yoke, or a semi-solid that they could play off of each other. I'm not totally sure, but I'll keep you posted. This was originally for the Irish Bailey's Cream cardigan by Thea Coleman. But I'm just not feeling it. And with everything that's been going on this week, I might just put it away. But I do really want to make that other sweater, so we'll see. Okay. Let's talk about my shift. I'm going to turn off this camera so that it doesn't die. I don't think I need it again, but I don't want to absolutely destroy the battery. Because when it dies, it dies. So, okay. Actually, the other, yeah, isn't it beautiful, Erin? I love it too. The other thing that I was thinking about this morning too was because we're all in, at home and making so much right now, I was kind of thinking if I get my Ashford yarns done, and that's for the writing an article for the Wheeler, and I did start my Arctic berries, and I was going to bring my e-spinner up today, and I was going to do a little bit of some time spinning with you and sharing with you what I'm doing for the final yarn, but I just can't today. Maybe that'll be a little mini video in the next few days if I'm feeling up to it. So no promises. I am going to save the fourth color that I was going to use for that whole spin. So it was going to be Fractured Dawn, Pasuta, and Arctic Berries, and Pacific Blue. And Pacific Blue is going to be the background color for what I was going to do for the shifty sweater. And then the other three colors were going to be like the movement through the sweater. But this came out so well, and I've loved it so much, and it's given me so many ideas that I'm actually going to take the 230 grams of the Pacific Blue that I have, and I'm going to spin it separately and use it for something separate. And I'm actually going to use the 3 yarns that I have for the Ashford article. I'm going to do the night shift shawl, because I was looking at it at 3 o'clock this morning when I couldn't sleep, and when you can't sleep and you're laying there, and my mind was just racing. So I did what you're supposed to do. I stayed in the dark and I did my thing, just being quiet, and I'm just trying to get a photo so I can show you something. And I did a meditation, and I have a couple that are for like when your mind is racing at night and you can't slow your thoughts down. And it usually works really, really, really super well. So I don't know what was going on with me last night because I just could not go back to sleep, which is super annoying. Because I'm usually really good with stuff like that. So this is the Night Shift by Andrea Mowry. It's a beautiful pattern. And I was looking at it, and she uses in the pattern, there's 6 colors, and they move through each other as you knit the shawl. And very similarly to the Shift cowl, which we'll talk about in a second, the cool thing about it is that you get this just absolutely gorgeous play of all of these colors. And so when I was reading through the pattern, I was actually thinking that what I would do is have the 3 colors. So whatever one will be A, whatever one will be B, and whatever one will be C. And it'll just, as you move through the different sections, it'll be A, B, and then AC, and then BC, and move it through and substitute instead of D, E, and F. Those will become ABC, ABC. Does that make sense? And then you'll just have that homogeny of the 3 hand-spun hanks through the whole thing. And the good thing about it is that actually the gauge works better for the weight of the yarn that I spun. It'll use up more of my hand spun. And I think it'll really showcase Katrina's colors, because that's really what I'm writing about, is the color and color management. So I'm actually feeling really excited about it. It was something positive. Oh, that's good, Suzanne. I did go back to bed at 5, but because I had to, I went back to bed at about 4, and then I sort of rested until about 6:30, and then I got up and went into work. So it was okay. It was just tiring. Let me move my dress form up, and I'll show you my Shift cowl. So So hopefully you guys can see that. I'm going to move out of the way a little bit. Oh, I'm caught on cables. So a little bit of a close-up for just a minute. But this is my Fin Study yarn. And this was yarn that I had made back in 2017, 2018. And this color study was part of a really big set of yarns. It was 3 braids of fiber, which was really unusual for Katrina and I at that time. It was a big undertaking. And we wanted to look at the 3 braids, basically how to combo spin them. Those are them there. And how to combo spin them, and how to sort of put them together in a way that you could do the 3, use these 3 yarns and combo spin them. So, combo ply or combo draft, where you're drafting multiple fibers at once, or where you're spinning separately and then plying them all together. So it was Arctic Berries and Fractured Dawn, which is right in the middle of the photo, and then Lakeside. And what I thought was so neat about this study was that it really pushed people outside of their comfort zone. So when there were people who chose to spin the 3 colorways completely separately, so on the far side there is the red and green one was Lakeside. In the middle is Fractured Dawn, spun up on its own, and then Arctic Berries. And so these 3 samples that I had were roughly the same grist, and they were all sort of around the same yardage. And so I actually ended up in the end having enough until about the halfway mark to use up all of those 3 little skeins. So this side of the cowl The background is actually my combo plied yarn. So I ended up running out towards the end and I had to incorporate my combo plied yarn. So this is my combo ply, and you can see how the colors were a little bit more separate and lots of barber pulling in the underlying skein. And there was a whole bunch of areas where you ended up with sort of these like lengths of yarn that are all like one color. And that's what created the striping in here against the Fractured Dawn, which is in this section. This is Fractured Dawn here. Let's let my camera focus because it wants my face. So I'll just move out. So this is Fractured Dawn in here as the mosaic. The background is the combo ply, and then the mosaic part is the Fractured Dawn. And then through here is actually Lakeside, which worked out really well because down here was the Lakeside I spun as a 2-ply fractal. And so there were these areas of Lakeside like down here that are marled, that are barber pulled. And so right at that time in the combo ply, I ended up with all of this red, which worked really well because it kind of ties it together. And then the first part of the cowl was all Arctic berries as the background. So I did basically run out of Arctic berries. And up here was all, so where my thumb is up here, the background is all Fractured Dawn. And then it goes into Lakeside. And then over here is Fractured Dawn again, and then Lakeside right here, and that's where I ran out of you can actually see where I ran out of Arctic berries. You can see the change there right here. Isn't that gorgeous? I love this. I am so in love with this. And then you finish it with an I-cord bind off because the whole thing is wrapped in I-cord. And this is what it looks like on. Isn't that perfect? I love this so much. Sarah, thank you so much for your inspiration because I wouldn't have knit this without you. I did this because of Sarah's, because of what she did with Breed and Color Study. I am going to wear this and wear this and wear this and wear this and wear this. It's no wonder so many people posted them in their as their most worn item. Like it just is so wearable. You know how you have like those certain things, those like certain projects that you make and you just think, I'm going to wear that a ton. And you sort of, and you don't know for sure that you're actually going to wear it a ton. This is one of those. This is going to get worn a ton. This is going to get knit again as well. I am going to make another one. I have 3 yarns in my stash that I want to make that are like half skeins. And I just love it. So I knit this on, what was the yarn size that I used? Or the needle size? I'm not really sure. Oh, 3.75 millimeter needles, so US 5s. And I used about 150 yards of each yarn, but I had to add a 4th yarn for that last part through here. And actually, I don't have my knitting bag with me up here. I left it downstairs because obviously I was feeling a bit frazzled at the beginning. But I do have a little bit of left of each yarn that I can keep as samples because I've been making sure that I have these cards more as like a journal. Like I'm really loving having that journal piece of my binder to keep track of my projects, because Ravelry is great and I love the utility of Ravelry, but I still really love having the physical samples. So Diana here is going to go through a little bit of a costume change because I want to share with you my Simple Something, which is by Anka-Trick. And she's a designer that we're all very, I think, probably well aware of. Anka-Trick. I'm not really exactly sure how you say her name. I'm actually not sure where she's from. Is she Dutch? I'm not totally sure. There are so many amazing designers out there. Like, I just, you know, oh, thank you, you guys. Thanks, Kelly. Thank you for the compliments. I really appreciate that. I think it looks nice too. So it's nice to hear that from you guys. So I bought this tunic dress from Old Navy. It was really funny because at Fibers West, one of the, I can't remember her yarn line, and if somebody said it, I would know exactly what it was right away. And she's the one that was wearing the No Frills cardigan by Petite Knits. I don't want to get them mixed up, by Petite Knits, and she was wearing it out of her yarn because she's a yarn dyer, and her and I got chatting, and I was wearing this with a different cardigan over top, and she said to me, she's like, oh, you got that at Old Navy? And I said, yeah. And she's like, yeah, like 10 years ago. And I said, I don't know if it was that long, but yeah, like it was a while ago. And she's like, I still have mine too, and I still wear mine too. And we were kind of laughing about it because this is one of those items that every time I go through my closet, I put it on the possible pile, like the maybe pile to donate, and then I don't. So it's way too big for me. I bought it too big, and it's always been too big. And actually, sometimes when I wear it, I actually pin it back here with a bull clip or a pin, because it is so big. But it's just one of those like really cute items, you know. So I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I finished the body of my Simple Something. So this is my Falling Leaves Sweet Georgie Yarns colorway. So the this yarn, the lighter one, is alpaca merino silk. The one at the top that's dark is 100% Gotland, and the one at the bottom that is brighter and kind of the medium of the group is superwash Targhee. So this is part of our yarn substitution content that I mentioned earlier in the show. And I cast off the body yesterday, and in the pattern, it's a great pattern. Oh my goodness. And this, everybody who has hand spun should knit this pattern, because the color blending that she gives, it's covers like, I think it's like a page and a half. It might even be 2 pages of information on how to do the color blending. It's very, very thorough. She has charts. It's really a really well-written pattern. I had to rip back because I was using up too much yarn and it was coming out with way too much ease. And so I ripped back, and she says in the pattern several times that because you're knitting with the yarns held double, it's going to grow, and the fabric will grossly relax when you're done. But it's because my torso is so long, it's kind of come out as like a cropped cardigan because I followed the instructions, because I need to make sure that I have enough yarn to finish the sleeves, because I do want long sleeves. So I'm going to do the sleeves first before I make any decisions about the body, but I'll put it on the dress form and you guys can see what I mean. Oh, and the other thing, I have to change the bind off. So the bind off at the bottom of the hem is too tight. So I think what I'm going to do is either a tubular bind off, I'm just tucking the sleeves up underneath because we don't need to see the sleeves. Okay, Diana's getting her work done. Her work is cut out for her today. So this is what I mean about it being cropped. Oh, so I'm going to do a tubular bind off down here, or I'm going to do Elizabeth Zimmerman's sewn bind off, because I did, what was it? Jenny's, Jenny's elastic bind off, the one that I use at the top of socks, where you, knit into the stitch, and then if it's a purl next, you purl into the stitch, but then you slip them back to the left hand needle and you knit them together. I did that, but it flared out the hem, so I didn't finish that, and I just did a conventional bind off, and it's just a bit too tight. I think I need something like a tubular bind off at the bottom, or a sewn bind off, something like that. So the length of this cardigan is 13.5 inches from the underarm all the way to the hem, but you can see that it's cropped. So my thought last night at 3:30 a.m. was to maybe put it over this tunic. So if I back this up so you guys can see, and then with a pair of jeans, I thought it would be really cute. But I don't know, just because of my style. To be honest with you, I just don't know if I would wear it. I'm just going to fix something on my camera. So that's what I mean about how cropped this sweater is. It's super cute, like, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I just don't know, like, it's not really my style. But like, you see like Andrea Mowry wearing a lot of that kind of stuff. The Spin Cycle girls, when I saw them at Knit City, they were wearing stuff like that. And then like, there's a couple of photos of designers online. Actually, the Petite Knitter has a photo of one of her sweaters where she's wearing high-waisted jeans and she's tucked her sweater in, and it's really cute. The Sailing Sweater by Felicia just knit it. The Sailing Sweater. What is her designing name? Erin something. Shirley Bryan Yarns, I think, is her yarn dyeing business. That Sailing Sweater, she's got it tucked into high-waisted jeans, and it's really super cute. So I'm gonna do the sleeves, and then I might actually wash it and see how much the fabric relaxes, and then go from there, because the aesthetic of the yarn and the way that the blend knit up, oh my goodness, it is beautiful, if I do say so myself. So, and I am planning on making a hinterland, and that would be perfect over it too. You're right, actually, Kelly. Good memory. Because yeah, I had thought about that. So, and my style is changing, like, you know, slowly. I think we all go through these changes. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I knit, so I started it, I cast it on the way up to Manning Park on, I was telling the girls about this yesterday in the wool stream. I cast it on the way to, on the drive up to Manning Park, and then, and there was nobody there, you know, because the social distancing had already started. And I cast it on. So I had already done the collar already earlier in the week, but I kind of put it aside. And so I did all the short rows at the back neck, and I started the raglan increases, and I separated for the sleeves, and we were driving back towards where we live in Vancouver, just outside Vancouver, on the way back. And I was like way down the body, but I was only like 5 inches down. And I was using up so much yarn, and I was like, this is not good, because it's not like I have tons and tons of yarn left, right? Because this is after, you know, another 3 inches of ribbing at the bottom. And I do want to have a little bit left over for samples and to keep. And I just thought to myself, I'm going to try this on and see like what the fit's like, because I didn't, if it was going to be cropped, I wanted it to be closer fitting. I wanted it to be zero ease. And so I tried it on, and it was literally like out to here. Like it was absolutely like, it wasn't even like, 7 to 10 inches of positive ease like she recommends in the pattern. It was like 30. It was like way out here. And I was like, well, it's no wonder it's taking up so much yarn. So I ripped it back all the way up to the mid raglan, and I worked the raglans slower. And so instead of every other round, I did every 4th round. And then when I had the stitch count and the length through the yoke that I needed, then I separated for the sleeves and kept on knitting. And I didn't put in any shaping. So yeah. Oh, take care, Erica. It was really good to have you in here. So yeah, yoga pants or jeans with the tunic. Yeah, I do black. I have black leggings that I'll sometimes wear underneath. Yeah, that's a good idea too, Florence, for sure. And then it becomes kind of more like a dress because it's quite long. So yeah, but I am happy with that. And I'll do the sleeves next, and then I'll go from there and decide if I'm going to lengthen it or not. After I wash it and see, because it doesn't matter if the ribbing at the bottom gets blocked, because what I'll do is I'll undo that and I'll skein it and I'll wash it, the yarn, and then I'll finish off the body, and then I'll use that yarn to redo the ribbing. So I might have to add a little bit to it or something, but that's kind of my plan. So let me just check our episode notes. There was a couple of things that I was going to talk about today, like the Felix cardigan and my lambda that's out of some commercial yarn that I had cast on this past. I think I cast on while Rebecca was still here, so it was about 10 days ago. I think I'll save that for next time. And I did talk about it on the wool stream yesterday. So if you guys are interested in learning more about building capsule wardrobes and whatnot, the wool stream is your place to go. So, and we had a major chat yesterday about that, because this is all based on my redo of my Make 20. I had designed my Make 20 and I was really excited about it. And the more I looked at it, the more I was like, I really love these items, but it's not really what I want to make sweater wise. Like, they're not all the items on here are necessarily sweaters that I want to do. And there's some sewing on my Make 9 for this year, and I'm excited about that stuff. So I redid my Make 9, and this isn't just going to be for 2020 because I can't get all of this done just in 2020. This is sort of to go over like the next 2 years and sort of what I want my sweater wardrobe to look like. So the Simple Something is the furthest one on the far, I guess it would be your right hand side, and Lambda is the one that's the closest here, kind of that peachy colored one. And I'm just going to sort of slowly work my way through. Anchor's cardigan is the one in the upper corner on the other side, the cream one, and that's the Made with Love along. So I've just been like slowly, reconfiguring my wardrobe and reconfiguring the sweaters that I want to make based on sort of my changes in my wardrobe. So yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Yeah, I could do the ribbing and the cuff in another yarn that's true, Karma, for sure. I'm not sure who the designer is for the sailor. It's not the sailor sweater, it's the sailing sweater. I'm not sure who designed it. It's Shirley Bryan Yarns, I think. But if you look up sailing sweater, now you've got me wondering, because Felicia's been wearing hers in Arbutus. So it's by Becky Paul, Beckie, Becky Paul. And it's a worsted weight. Knit in, looks like it calls for, there you go. How much do you love this streaming software? So this is what I was talking about. Like, she's got it tucked into her high-waisted jeans, and it just looks fantastic. It's calls for a 1,100 yards of worsted weight yarn. It's a one-size-fits-all sweater, I think. Unless there's maybe a small and a medium, medium, and I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's one size fits all. Oh, it's one original size and tall. And then it includes instructions for easily adding adding and removing ease. So, oh, excuse me, sorry. So it's completely customizable. So that's pretty cool. It's a neat sweater. Felicia's been wearing hers a lot. It looks amazing on her, and she's been tucking it into her jeans, and it's really cute. Kind of that poncho style. So you cast on at one cuff and you knit the front, and then you do the same for the back, and then you seam it in specific spots. And so you've got the cuff, but then you've kind of got this curved hem, and it's just it's a really lovely aesthetic. So yeah, if anybody's thinking about making it, it's really, really pretty. Oh, Rebecca, yeah. So what I did was I ripped up through. So she's wondering how my Simple Something got tighter and cropped, because the photos look really relaxed and much longer. So I ripped back to the middle of the raglan and I redid everything. So I redid the stitch counts and I redid all the things because it was eating up too much yarn. So I needed to make it with not so much ease. So in the pattern, she called for a lot more ease than what I was willing to give the sweater because of not having as much yarn. So yeah. Oh, that's too bad, Suzanne. Yeah, because they're really making a comeback, high-waisted jeans. I have to admit, I really like high-waisted jeans because I'm constantly pulling at my jeans, pulling them up, because my waist is significantly smaller than my hips. And I carry all my weight in my hips, so if the jeans don't come up and over, they're constantly falling off, and it's so annoying. So, yeah. My high-waisted skirt, that's a great idea, Rebecca. I should totally try it with my high-waisted skirt. Okay, I have a project for the next week. I'll finish the sleeves, and then we'll try it with a few different outfits, and then we'll decide if I should make it longer or not. And I'll wash it and see how much ease we get with it too, because that might dictate making it longer. Because if it ends up really relaxing and being not so tight, because right now it's about plus 1 inch, 2 inches of positive ease right now. It doesn't look like it on the dress form, but it is. My dress form is about 1.5 inches bigger than I am to account for underwear and bloating, and it's the smallest that it can go. So once I wash it and see how much ease there is, then I'll play with it. Okay, I think that's everything for today. I'm going to get going. It ended up being a slightly longer show than I'd originally planned because we had those technical issues at the beginning. I'm still getting used to this new YouTube streaming software. I don't love it, but I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Look after yourselves. Stay healthy. Thank you to everybody who has sent messages of support and love. I really appreciate it. And I will see you. We are not going to have a show. No, we're back. We're on our regular streaming schedule right now. So I will see you guys next Wednesday, same place, same time. And until then, happy spinning, happy knitting, and happy weaving, and happy dreaming. Bye, you guys.